Touch that frog, Clara Spencer, and you'll be covered with warts from head to toe, Ruby Mae Morrison warned. The two girls stood at the edge of Dead Man's Creek with their friend Bessie Coburn. It was a sparkling, warm afternoon, and the icy water burbled over their bare feet. Clara rolled her eyes. That ain't true about frogs, Ruby Mae. Miss Christy says frogs is amphibians. We're going to study 'em for science class, and I'm going to catch me this here one for her to teach us with. She pointed to the fat green frog sitting on a boulder in the shallow creek, sunning itself happily. Ruby Mae sighed. Sometimes Clara acted like the biggest know-it-all in Cutter Gap. Warts, Ruby Mae repeated firmly. Hundreds of 'em. Granny O'Teal says they start on your nose first off. She nudged Bessie. Ain't that right, Bessie? Bessie watched as Clara took another careful step toward the frog. "'Member that fairy tale Miss Christy told us where the girl kisses a frog and he turns into a prince?" "'Course I do. Anyways, you ought to be careful how far out you wade, Clara," Ruby Mae advised. "We ain't never been this far up the creek before." Clara took a deep breath and lunged for the frog. She grabbed him with both hands. Then she slipped him into the deep pocket of her worn dress and returned to the bank. "I'm a-callin' him Prince Egbert," she announced, peeking into her pocket. "Can't call him Prince," Ruby Mae said. She picked up a smooth stone and flung it far down the rushing creek. "We already got ourselves a prince, in case you forgot, and the mission stallion is a whole lot purtier than any warty old frog." "Prince Egbert," Clara repeated, "and he don't have warts, I'm telling you." "Kiss him, then," Ruby Mae challenged with a sly grin. "Prove it." Clara lay back on the grass, her hands behind her head. "Don't need to kiss a frog, 'cause I don't want to be a princess. I'm a-going to be a doctor when I grow up, just like Doc McNeil." Bessie groaned. "Gals can't be doctors, Clara. That's just plumb foolish." "How about Miss Alice?" Clara sat up on her elbows. "She's got a bag full of herbs and medicines, and she births babies and fixes up broken bones and such, just like the doc." Bessie joined Clara on the bank. "Well, I'm a-going to be a teacher, just like Miss Christy, only in a much fancier school than ours, one with lots of books and pencils, and no hogs under the floor, and no bullies like Blondie Taylor neither. All my students will behave nice and proper-like, with citified manners." Ruby Mae turned to stare at her two friends. They were lying side by side on the grass, staring up at the sky. They looked alike, the two of them. They were both smaller than she was, with long blonde hair. Of course there were differences, too. Bessie had plump, rosy cheeks and a silly grin. Clara had a thinner face with sensible brown eyes, like she was always fretting over something or other. She usually was, too. Clara was a thinker. She was always asking how, or why, or when, questions that would make a normal person's head spin like a top. Bessie, on the other hand, was more of a dreamer. She was the kind of girl who would forget her head if it wasn't attached. Ruby Mae knew both girls leaned on her. After all, she was a year older, and that made her a whole year wiser. She was taller than they were, with long, curly red hair. If only she could get rid of her freckles, she figured she'd be just about perfect. "Dr. Clara Spencer," Bessie said in a wishing kind of voice, "and Professor Bessie Coburn." Ruby Mae sighed. Of course, they were only 12. They weren't so smart about the way the world worked. "Hate to tell you, but you ain't a-going to be doctors or teachers or frog princesses," Ruby Mae said as she stooped to get another stone. "Since when can you see the future, Ruby Mae?" Clara demanded. "Only Granny O'Teal can see the future," Bessie said, "and that's if she's reading the innards of a squirrel on a full moon night." "What I'm saying is you need cash money to get those highfalutin jobs, 'cause first you need your schooling." Ruby Mae tossed another rock upstream. "And in case you ain't noticed, we're just kind of short of cash money."